more than a century, the rich and famous have come to the Bahamas, from the Queen and Winston Churchill to the Beatles and countless US presidents. Tiger Woods and Oprah Winfrey are having massive great mansions built just down the beach here. And now look who's turned up. 6 men intent on winning the biggest prize in one of the toughest sports on earth.
Nassau's gone funky. Nassau's gone soul. We've got a doggone beat now. We're gonna call our very own. Funky Nassau. Funky Nassau.
And here's how one of them is going to win this, the Metrex Trophy for the world's strongest man. We've reverted from the heats, where it was an 11-event round-robin competition, to the more traditional format. 6 men, 8 events, 1 winner. And these are the 6 finalists. From Sweden, Magnus Samuelsson. From Latvia, Raymond Bergmanis. From Norway, Sven Karlsson. From Ukraine, Vasil Virashchuk. From Lithuania, Zydrunas Zavikas. And from Poland, and twice the winner, Mariusz Pudzianowski. Well, as ever, our expert guide on occasions like this is Jamie Reeves, former world's strongest man himself. Now, this is the Silver Jubilee, this great event, so who's your idea of the winner?
Well, we've got 2 former champions in the final, we've got the current champion, we've got last year's runner-up, and even though we've only got 6 competitors, I think this is going to be the most intense final we've ever had.
Carry race.
First up in this year's final, carry this 16-stone anchor, 25 metres. Sprint back as fast as possible, and then it's 25 stones in each hand to the finish line. What a way to start the final. It's all about speed, endurance and grip strength.
Beneath crystal blue skies, commentary from Paul Dickinson.
That was a perfect description by Jamie, all about this first event. And what a performance we could see here. 2 former champions, Magnus Samuelsson and Sven Karlsson, up against this guy, Zydrunas Zavikas, who's finished 2nd in the previous 2 finals.
Representing Norway, Sven.
Great atmosphere here. Good cheers for Sven Karlsson. I hope he's over the injury he suffered in the heats.
Representing Sweden.
And finally, the giant Magnus Samuelsson, one of the most charismatic strongmen in recent years. This is all about time. The fastest time to complete the 2 legs of this carrying race will win. And Samuelsson the first to get away. Remembering what Jamie said about sprinting, back to the farmer's walk. Take a look at this. These guys can motor as well. A little bit of stiffness in those legs, but 11 events they had to go through, of course, in the heats. And this is where Magnus Samuelsson comes into his own. He's a master of carrying, especially in the farmer's walk. And that looks perfect so far from Samuelsson. He's going to set the fastest time so far, which he does. 32.34, Zavikas in 2nd place, 35.03, and Sven Karlsson, not surprisingly, in view of the problems he had earlier, 44.56 in 3rd place for the moment. But a good start to this final by the Swede, Magnus Samuelsson.
Magnus Samuelsson.
A little bit tired, but the arm goes aloft in victory.
Well, that was a kind of declaration of intent, wasn't it?
I know coming into this final I have a few events that I probably will have problems with, depending a little bit on my size. But the key for me now is to score as high as possible in all events that I can score in.
That's fair enough. That's precisely what he has to do. There are 3 superb performers here that are going to go up against the rest. Raymond Bergmanis first of all. And already Mariusz Pudzianowski, going for 3 titles in a row, is pumped up. And then this great Ukrainian, Vasil Virashchuk. Looking good, thumbs up for the Ukrainian. Now, this is going to be fascinating. Who's going to get away to the fastest start? It's Virashchuk. the biggest man of these three, but the fastest away. Pudzianowski is no slouch, though. Look at him go! That is real class sprinting. But has he got what it takes to get these two giant weights of 335 pounds down the course quickest? No, he hasn't. Varastyuk is going to go all the way. Well, I spoke too soon. Varastyuk is down, but he's only got a couple of meters to go. And I think he's won it. 29.43. Unbelievable. Pudzianowski 35.56. Not as fast as he had hoped. And Raymond Bergmanis bringing up the rear, just finishes now, 42.37. So the winner overall in the very first event in this year's final, a magnificent performance by Vasil Varastyuk.
The perfect start for you. What did you think about it?
It was exactly what I needed to do. Make a perfect start. I've done my bit. Now you will see.
Yes, I'm very strong. 100%. Go final.
Talking a good game, but are seeds of doubt being sown in the mind of Mariusz Pudzianowski, Varastyuk looking mighty powerful. Over the past 10 years, no outright winner of World's Strongest Man has finished outside the first three in the opening event. Can Pudzianowski buck history to win his third straight triumph?
Fridge carry.
Jamie?
The combined weight of these fridges is over 64 stones. They've got to be carried 30 metres. You must keep moving steadily down the course. The last thing you want to do is freeze.
Well, the first two competitors, Bergmanis and Carlsen, didn't get away to a good start in the first event, so they need big points here.
The fridge carry is Sven Carlsen's favourite event. He's usually in the top three at this all the time, but he's carrying an injury, so this could favour Ray Bergmanis.
Left!
Well, we often refer to the weights in World's Strongest Man as the equivalent of a full fridge. So the irony is this time we have got two fridges. And it's Carlsen who's away quickest. I have to say that looks extraordinarily difficult. The balance is going to be absolutely important. And Bergmanis now is falling miles behind. It's the Norwegian, despite the injury, who's going to take first place for the time being. A solid time by Sven Carlsen, 24.37. He looks absolutely shattered, I have to say, and Bergmanis, well, this has been a real struggle for him. He's normally so quick across the ground, but not when you've got 904 pounds bearing down on your back. Well done to Bergmanis, he finishes. It's a slow 44.12, and for the time being, Carlsen is in the lead, no doubt about that. Good effort by Sven, but he needs good points, I said that earlier.
Was that mind over matter?
Yes, very much so, because every time I step down on my left leg, my head said it's not going to work, but my heart says keep on going. Even though the bad thing is that competing when you're only half machine is very tough mentally, because this was a very good final for me with all the events we have here. But I think what I'm doing now is very brave.
I think everybody would agree with that. Well, the next two competitors, Mariusz Pudzianowski and Zydrunas Savickas, finished in first and second place in last year's final. Brilliant performances they were too.
Savickas picked up some good points in his last event, but now in the fridge carry he's going against Mariusz Pudzianowski, who's got his back against the wall.
Left!
He certainly has, the defending champion. But Pudzianowski it is who gets away to the faster start. What a brilliant stride down this course goes Mariusz. Oh, there are meters between himself and Savickas, and Savickas is no slouch, but it's Mariusz who's coming away. Remember the time of Carlsen, 24.37, and he's absolutely destroyed it. 16.3 seconds, and even Savickas with 20.8 has moved into second place, but miles behind this man.
I'm happy only one athlete is Vasil, also is very faster. Maybe I first, 100% I am second. Maybe first, looking. 2 minutes, looking who first.
That certainly was a blistering time by Pudzianowski. Well, now it's the turn of Magnus Samuelsson and Vasil Varastyuk.
The two leaders head-to-head in the fridge carry. Samuelsson's height is a disadvantage here. I expect Varastyuk to smoke this course.
Left!
Well, we'll have to wait and see, but Jamie's pretty knowledgeable on these sort of things, and Varastyuk has got away brilliantly. Ah, well, he's put acres of space between himself and the Swedish champion. Varastyuk is coming away. Can he challenge the time set by Pudzianowski? Yes, he can! Absolutely superb, 15.03, and he's #1 in an event for the second time in a row. Well, Jamie Reeves absolutely right. He said Samuelsson would struggle, and that's precisely what he has done. But Vasil Varastyuk was incredible. 2 events and 2 wins. You can't get any better than that.
The same 3 men who dominated the competition last year could well be the key figures once again. And looking at the scoreboard after 2 events, already you sense that the competition may be splitting into 2. So the steely-eyed Ukrainian has stolen a march on his main rivals, but he knows there's an awful long way to go.
When you come to Bahamas, you must swim with dolphins. These dolphins were on film Flipper. Swimming with dolphins is great.
Meanwhile, on an idyllic Bahamian beach, an exercise in lower back and leg torture.
Squat lift.
Well, John, absolutely right. This could be real torture for Sven Karlsen of Norway. The left thigh heavily strapped, and if there is any bleeding at all in the muscle, he could really suffer, and he may not even take any further part in the competition. This could be real agony for a former world's strongest man.
Left.
This is not about bonus points or anything that we had in the heats. This is all about the number of repetitions that you can do. No, he shakes his head and he says no. Oh, that hurt. When that barrel went into the cage, that really hurt Sven Karlsen. A brave effort. Very disappointing indeed for Karlsen. We're only into event 3, but I think his challenge has well and truly gone.
This is never a good event for Samuelsson, and so it proved again. Just 2 lifts for the giant Swede. Raymond Bergmanis in the habit of changing his hairstyle, but he's good at this. He managed 5 lifts, and so did Mariusz Pudzianowski, although his time was quicker.
And so the target has been set at 5 repetitions by Raymond Bergmanis and Mariusz Pudzianowski, and that is what Zavikas has to challenge. He is a former silver medalist in the World Powerlifting Championships, and squat is a very important exercise in that sport, so we're expecting this guy to be very good indeed. First started competing in 1992.
Left.
Here is a very talented strongman. He's been involved in powerlifting and strong events now for well over a decade. And of course, as I said earlier, the target's set at 5, and so far he's making this look very easy. Has to wait for the barrels to be loaded, otherwise I think he would have done about 10 by now. This is terrific stuff. Now, is he going to do all 7 lifts? I suspect he might, you know. And this will do his challenge in terms of going to the top of the table, the power of good. He's already gained 2 third places. This might be a first place, and he hardly broke sweat. Zavikas is definitely the king of the squat at the moment. Well, what an impression Vasil Varastyuk has made on this World's Strongest Man final so far. 2 first places in a row. Now, if he's going to go ahead of Zavikas, he's got to do all 7 lifts in a faster time. 33.13 was Zavikas' time.
Stands out. Squat.
So here we go.
Good lift.
Looks comfortable.
Squat.
A little bit frustrating to have to wait for those barrels to go on.
Squat.
He's making this look pretty easy.
Squat.
I know it's no indication as to how strong a man is just by the size of his legs, but Zavikas is a little bit thicker around the thighs than Varastyuk. But both he and his brother, Roman Varastyuk, the great shot putter, will be doing lots of this sort of exercise, I'm sure, in the gym.
Stands in.
Oh, he wants the stands in. Now, he won't go for number 7. 6 lifts is enough. 2 first places in the first 2 events, and now a 2nd place. Varastyuk is looking superb.
Well, Zavikas obviously managing to narrow the gap on the Ukrainian there, who may or may not be playing a dangerous game. But it's clear even at this stage that Samuelsson and Bergmanis need big scores soon if they're going to stay in contention. Varastyuk playing a tactical game now, but Pudzianowski, who once seemed so invincible, really is now appearing very mortal indeed. Artists from Gloria Estefan to Justin Timberlake have appeared in concert on this beach, and now it's time for Van Morrison. It's the deadlift, just the 315 kilograms to be picked up and placed down as often as possible until your body says enough is enough. So forget Van Morrison, it's more Van Halen, seriously heavy metal.
And I really don't understand how Sven Karlsson has managed to drag himself off his sickbed because of that left thigh problem to take part in this event.
Lift.
So here we go.
Down.
Slow and steady.
Good lift. Lift.
Actually, a lot of the deadlifters these days, it's more about back than it is in terms of leg lifting. And he is using his back a lot there and just locking out his legs at the last minute. So this is not too bad, I suspect, on Sven Karlsson's thigh.
Good lift.
Has he had enough?
Lifting your own
You wouldn't be at all surprised if he had enough, but he's getting more chalk on his hands.
Count it down, please.
There is a time limit of 75 seconds, so he's got the time to do that. And I'm sure when we see some of the competitors after Sven Karlsson, we're going to see totals way in excess of 5 lifts. So he needs every little bit extra that he can. Oh, he's bleeding again. Oh, my goodness. A lot of pressure being built up with each left. That is 5 repetitions. And once again, I can't emphasize too much just how brave an effort that was from the former champion. Another former champion next, Sweden's Magnus Samuelsson, who by his own admittance does not like this event one little bit.
Lift.
So a massive weight as always, 683 pounds, always struggling already. Now, is that a back problem? Quite often with deadlifting, the lower muscles in the back often go into spasm. I hope that hasn't happened to Magnus, who goes down for it once more, locks his fingers around that bar, drags it up his thighs, and that is 1 lift, and I suspect that might be enough. He just did enough for a point, but I fear he's going to end up in last place here, and he can't afford to do that. Well, this could be easy pickings for Raymond Bergmanis, and just take a look at his haircut. Unbelievable. I think we should nickname him the Latvian monk now. But Bergmanis is good at this lift, make no mistake. He must have made this movement in gymnasiums many, many thousands of times in preparation for his Olympic lifting. So 5 is the target. Sven Karlsson, the injured Norwegian, still in the lead. but no more. Bergmanis moves on. It's all looking terribly familiar. We've seen this performance from Bergmanis before in past World's Strongest Man competitions. Just a little bit of a tear on the hands there. The dried out skin will be being pulled to shreds by that bar. But he carries on, he ignores the pain. And this is a good total by the Latvian. It's not fast, it's not explosive. It's long and steady and very, very strong. Certainly the fatigue is set in now for Bergmanis. He's got to get it to arm's length and straighten up to be given it by the referee, Douglas Edmonds. No lift, says Dougie. 9 repetitions for Raymond Bergmanis. That is a superb total. The Latvian is in first place. He's going to take a look at that hand, I'm sure, to make sure there's no damage. Absolutely super. The Mad Monk has done it.
Were your hands hurting so you couldn't do anymore?
Yeah, if I not cut my blisters, I did 11. Sure. Absolutely sure. If I, after 7, I won't finish it. Well, of course, crowd asked for more. I did 2 more, but of course, this is the reason why I did only 9 reps.
Well, a prodigious total was set by Bergmanis. Now it's the turn of the defending champion. Mariusz Pudzianowski has shown what a brilliant lifter he is in the gym and in World's Strongest Man in the past.
Good lift.
When he won his first title, I think, if my memory serves me well, he won the first 3 events. He hasn't done that here. In fact, finished 4th in his first event, then 2nd, then a 1st. But that has meant he's 12 points in total, 5 points behind the overall leader, Vasil Varastyuk. So he certainly has got a bit to prove. That is 7 lifts so far, so going well. And still plenty of time in the bank. 75 seconds, the time limit. And what a spectacular location for this event. 8 lifts, 1 more to draw level with Raymond Bergmanis. Solid muscle is Mariusz. And that has drawn level with Raymond Bergmanis. 1 more to go into the lead. He wants to know what sort of time is left. He can't hear anybody tell him. He's just got to get on with it now. Now 1 more makes him a clear leader, and it could be 2 event wins in a row. Yes, he's got it. 10 repetitions altogether, right on the stroke of full time. His hands were nearly torn off there, but that is a very impressive performance from the champion from last year and the year before. He's asking for confirmation in terms of how many lifts. Somebody shouted out 10. That was superb. Boy, is he going to be tough to beat. That is for sure.
That lift is good for me. Only next athlete is, but Magnus, 1 repetition, Sven 5 is bad for me because Vasil have 5 points up. I have 5 points to Vasil. Now only 2 points up is bad. 3 points up Vasil is bad for me.
Well, this is the man that's been worrying Mariusz Pudzianowski.
Take a grip.
Vasil Varastyuk of the Ukraine. And already 2 first places and a 2nd.
Lift.
Well, it really was a heck of a total set by Mariusz. 10 repetitions.
Down. Good lift.
And when you think that the weight being lifted is effectively nearly 700 pounds, I mean, that is phenomenal. But Varastyuk is on his way. Tough competitor. 3 reps so far. Sven Karlsson on 5. And he's in 2nd place behind Pudzianowski at the moment. He's got plenty of time left, as Dougie Edmonds has just been saying to him. I think this guy is more at home when he's got to push things rather than lifting them off the deck.
Good lift.
Not bad at all. So Varastyuk trying to make some headway on Mariusz Pudzianowski. You just get the feeling, though, that the Pole has produced one of his best efforts in this final so far in producing those 10 reps. You've got to lock the fingers around that bar and stop it rotating. There's only about 10 seconds to go now. One mammoth effort required to get this final repetition up. He's wobbling a bit, but Douglas Edmonds says yes. And the customary cry of joy from Vasil Varastyuk. He's not going to win the competition with those 6 reps, but it is nevertheless a very, very good effort once again. Well, when Pudzianowski was interviewed after his event in the deadlift, he mentioned Varastyuk, but he didn't mention Zavikas. And Zavikas, at the moment, is still ahead of the pole by some 2 points. Going to be interesting to see what happens here.
Left.
Well, I have to say, this guy is Mr. Consistency at the moment.
Down.
He's producing
Good
some
left.
very
Left.
solid performances and is still there
Down.
fighting
Good
for this
left.
title,
Left.
despite the fact we're only halfway through. We're just
Down.
approaching the
Good
halfway
left.
stage at
Left.
the end of this event. That is
Down.
looking good.
Good left. Left.
The first target is the 6 reps by Vasil
Down.
Varastyuk.
Good left.
And then,
left.
of course, we've got Raymonsberg Marnus and, of course, the magnificent Pudzianowski
Down.
on 10.
Good left. Left.
Just slowing down a little bit here. But certainly this former powerlifter
Down.
will be very confident
left.
about this
Left.
exercise. A little bit more chalk now on the hands. Just easing out the back, stretching the back muscles. A little bit of a blow. Get some oxygen in those lungs. You notice he's not wearing any shoes. That gets him in a better position to make the lift from. He's got 7 reps so far, so he's in 3rd place. Can he make any further advance on that? He's asking for the amount of time left.
5 seconds.
5 seconds just. I don't think he's going to have any more attempts. So Zavikas, 3rd, 1st, and now he's going to be in 3rd place once more. But that event was all about Pudzianowski, who's got a big, big 6 points in this event.
And this entire competition could well have swung on that one event. Bergmanis picking up good points to remain a credible force, but the defending champion Pudzianowski showing why he is always the man to beat. Well, after 2 rather one-sided finals, this is just the kind of contest we wanted. At the halfway stage, just 2 points separating the 3 main contenders. What were your sporting ambitions when you were growing up?
My dream is the same as all athletes. In my chosen sport, I want to be the best.
And the president of your federation has given you a flat, hasn't he? Tell us about that.
Yes, we had a big meeting before this event, and it was a really big surprise, this gift. Whilst I was flying from Kiev to here, well, it was all I could think of. I was so happy. Now I'm trying not to think about it and just focus on the competition.
You have a young baby at home, so how do you manage to fit in all the training with actually being a dad?
Whilst I was in training, there wasn't much time for my family and son. Every day, though, they came to the gym. I've even got a photo of my son. He's in the stone circle basket, shouting, "More, Dad, more." It keeps me going when the training gets tough.
This really is one of the great tax havens of the world. No inheritance tax, in fact, no income tax at all. So it's the kind of place where a couple of safes would come in handy.
Safe lift.
And so the first man to attempt this safe lift is the giant Magnus Samuelsson, desperately in need of big points.
Left.
Samuelsson, well over 6 feet 5 inches tall. And the weight of this safe has been increased by 10 kilograms since the heats. And 3 lifts there, easy peasy for Magnus. This is very impressive, actually. He's got good balance, and as we've seen, that is so important. This is a superb performance so far by Samuelsson. maybe producing his best performance so far when it is required most. Great effort by Samuelsson, 8 repetitions so far, but that is his first no lift. Way, way off balance. Oh, he's rectified it now though, that is 9. A supreme effort by Magnus Samuelsson at the moment. A little bit wobbly there, I'm not sure that one is going to count either. That's better. Solid as a rock. Well, this certainly is Magnus's best performance in World's Strongest Man final so far this year, but that won't be counted either. I spoke too soon. And this is going to put pressure on everybody else. That is much, much better. And there goes the whistle. 13 repetitions for the Swede, and that is the sort of performance that we can expect from this great, great strongman of years gone by.
In this sport, everybody have different skills and different physique, and so far in this contest, the final have tested strength that is not really a weakness, but not my favorite, so to speak. My pride and joy is my upper body, especially my arms and chest and shoulders, and this felt like absolutely nothing. The only problem is to find the balance, and I'm sure I had a few more reps in me, and I needed something to go right now, just to get my confidence back and to get proof that I'm still strong. And we have used the legs now in almost every event, so it's time to use the shoulders and chest.
Okay, it's now the turn of Sven Karlsson. I'm utterly amazed he's actually out here, still fighting.
Left.
What a target Samuelsson has set.
Down!
Well, we know how strong this guy can be, but is he at full strength in terms of his fitness? I doubt it. That's number 3, locking it out. And you heard what Magnus said about the balance, and that is so important. And Karlsson, well, he's got the technique taped, a little push of the legs. His arms aren't as long as Samuelsson's. That will help, believe me. Trying for number 6.
Down!
A little bit wobbly. He's got to keep it inside that red area on the platform. Now beginning to look fatigued, and now I bet his left thigh is going to be very sore indeed. Douglas Edmonds watches intently. That is 7. Terrific effort from Sven Karlsson. Been injured really since the very first event of this final. Now, anymore, always limping off the platform. So 7 is the score. It's Scandinavia in first and second place for the time being. How much longer can Karlsson keep going for?
Raymond Bergmanis found this a really hard event despite his weightlifting pedigree. Just 5 lifts, whereas Pudzianowski managed 11, although that wasn't going to be enough. How are you feeling now?
Oh, bad. I'm very, very tired. Oh, pain, hands, legs, back, all pain. Oh, 20 minutes maybe good.
Pudzianowski looks absolutely exhausted. Well, here is our overall leader, Vasil Varastyuk, still chasing the lead set by Magnus Samuelsson. 13 repetitions.
Get ready.
Another very important moment for the Ukrainian.
Left. Down.
Oh, super strong, but he's got to sort out that technique. It's a little bit ragged.
Down.
This is all raw strength and power. Not much in the way of technique that you can talk about here. That won't count. So he's got 2 at the moment. Leaning back a little bit. There goes number 3. I have to say, it would be lovely to see Samuelsson win one. We'll have to wait and see. That's 5. Varastyuk is raw power. He really is in every sense of the word. He's a comparative novice in strongman competition, but gaining inexperience all the time and leading by 2 points at the moment from Savikas and from Pudzianowski. Well, he doesn't seem to be tiring at all here. Oh, he's got to watch the balance there. That does count. It was very close to being a failure. That is 11. 2 more to go to draw level with Samuelsson. He really was leaning back miles there just to try and lock out his arms. 1 more to draw level. He's got it. But unfortunately for the Ukrainian, Samuelsson was a shade quicker with his 13 reps, so the Swede is still in the lead. Total exhaustion for Vrastiuk. So the final competitor, Zydrunas Savickas.
Get ready.
He's got 2 men with 13 repetitions, and of course, Pudzianowski has got 11.
Lift.
So how will this guy fare? Not used to overhead lifting. Certainly he's a great bench presser, but that is lying flat on your back. This looks pretty confident, though. That is 3. And Savickas, well, he's got 1 victory to his credit so far and 3 third places. I called him Mr. Consistency in the last event, and he certainly is that. This is looking pretty good. 7 reps, looking comfortable. Tremendously strong upper body. That's 9, and no sign of letting up. Ducks under, squats up, and pushes it straight up with his arms. So 10 reps, he's closing in on Samuelsson and Vrastiuk. Not 1 failed lift so far. This is getting perilously close. I'm sure the Swede and the Ukrainian will be watching closely. He draws level. 1 more to take the lead and a second victory in the final, and he's done it. Absolutely superb. 1 more for luck. Well, he's won the competition. I'm not sure he realizes it. I bet he lost count. When he recovers, though, he's going to be absolutely delighted. Superb victory over Samuelsson, Vrastiuk and the rest.
You are in the lead, so what do you think?
It's good that I lead, but in last event I tried first time in my life very hard. It's always I finished and little bit tired, but now I am like empty.
Savickas running on empty maybe, but still managing 14 repetitions. Samuelsson will have enjoyed that event, but Pudzianowski is showing further signs of vulnerability, 3 points off the pace. Similar physique, similar gentle giant personalities and identical scores. We really have a battle on our hands now. The last 3 events are all classic strongman challenges, starting with the truck pull. From the days of Jeff Capes and Magnus Ver Magnusson through Juuso Ahola and nowadays to Mariusz Pudzianowski, this has been the defining image of the biggest strongman competition in the world for a quarter of a century.
For the final, we've added this container. That's an extra 4 tonne for a combined weight of 18 tonnes, 35 metres to the finish line, fastest time wins.
Now that is a muscle tear, and it means the end of the road for Carlsen.
The way the competition is now, it's no point on hurting myself anymore, so just need to heal up and start training again.
Well, you certainly have to admire Sven Carlsen's optimism, already talking about getting training for next year. First up on the truck, Mariusz Pudzianowski. And the truck has grown since the heats by 5 tonnes. We have the addition of a trailer hooked onto the back of that truck, so this is awesome. 15 tonnes. They're not going to go hurtling down the runway here. It will be slow and steady, but remember what Mariusz did in the heats. About halfway down, he let go of that rope at the beginning and then just drove on using his legs. I don't think he's going to do it this time. But Pudzianowski is always brilliant at this truck pull. Whether it's boats, trains, planes or trucks, the pole is certainly the master, and he's looking pretty good here. The defending champion needs big points though if he's going to get this 3rd title almost at the finish. The Huda goes 41.43 seconds for Mariusz Pudzianowski. He looks absolutely spent.
Not much left in the Bergmanis tank either. He struggled his way to a time of 43.59 seconds to pick up 2 points.
Well, that was a good effort by Bergmanis, but it's still Mariusz who's in the lead at 41.43. Now, though, the turn of Verastyuk, joint leader with Zavikas, getting ready. And with only 2 more events to go, this would be very useful if Verastyuk could really steal a march on everybody else. And I think that rope at the front is far more important this time round with the increase in weight of the truck than it was when it was only 10 tons. So it's Pudzianowski in the lead. Verastyuk trying to gain ground with every pull and every stride. Going solidly. Not spectacular by any stretch of the imagination, and most of the spectators won't actually believe what they're seeing. It is an enormous truck, and the clock is ticking away. He's going to be very close. He's got it in the lead at 39.9. But how long can that lead last? And yet another strongman who's utterly exhausted.
How tired are you now?
Таке враження, що моє бажання зараз просто
I'll do the wheelbarrow with no strength or power at all.
Не знаю, як.
That last event almost killed me.
Просто не знаю.
Well, it certainly is getting very tense at the top of the table. Magnus Samuelsson making his challenge now in the truck pull. Look at the size of Magnus's arms. I'll tell you what, they're bigger than most people's legs are. They're about 25 inches around. If you get a tape measure out and measure your thighs, I bet most of you will not have 25-inch thighs, that's for sure. They're absolutely huge and being put to very good benefit here. This is a good performance by Samuelsson. He really came on strong in the safe lift, which was the last event, and this, I think, could be even better. Head down, back straight, legs pumping, very close to the line now, and it is fast. It's very fast, 36.53, and the longer this final goes on, the better Magnus Samuelsson seems to get. Now the turn of Zydrunas Zavikas. What a time it was by Magnus Samuelsson. Verastyuk in second place, but the Swede is definitely in first place.
Tell me when you are ready.
So the joint leader with Verastyuk after the last event, away to a little bit of a slippery start there. This giant American truck begins to pick up speed. And the great thing about Zavikas is he's got his head down, eyes focused on the ground, but he's pulling in exactly the right line. He's not wobbling from side to side. This is technically a very good effort indeed. A superb time set by Magnus. Verastyuk's time, 39.9 in second place. He's not going to beat Magnus's time, but he's going to be very close to the Ukrainians, just inside. Wow, that was close. He's beaten Verastyuk's time by about 0.7 of a second. Falls flat on his face.
Zavikas down, but clearly far from out. Samuelsson coming with a late surge, but it looks like being much too late for the Swede. And going into the closing stages, this championship is going to be a two-horse race. But which horse? Well, that event really took its toll, and as Pudzianowski's dreams of a triple triumph fade, fatigue is going to be the key factor in determining the outright winner.
When you're in Bahamas, you must visit the local market. What is this?
That's a hockey sack.
For stress. Oh, for stress.
Stress and whatever.
I don't have stress. Your stores is very expensive.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm. In the normal store is $19.
give me 50. Okay, pull it down now. I'm gonna look at my stuff to see how beautiful you are.
Chopping is easier event for strongman. See you later.
Wheelbarrow race.
The skipping race. Here's the skip, and there's 500 kilograms of sand in it already.
Add to that a 100 kilogram barrel.
Then you chuck in this 100 kilogram weight.
At 15 metres, add this 100 kilogram steel box, or in old money, 16 stones.
And to round things off, this 100 kilogram log, making 900 kilograms in all in your skip.
And then there's still 15 metres to go to the finish line.
My hands is very pain. Only I must finish. And finish. Second place this event will be good for me.
So Mariusz gets the dubious honour of having to go first in this wheelbarrow race. And next time you're doing some gardening, just remember how big this wheelbarrow is.
Are you ready?
Well, he's let his challenge slip just a little bit in terms of trying to retain his title. And this is going to be as much about endurance as it is about strength and power. A phenomenal 900 kilos in prospect as he weaves his way down the course. That really is the biggest wheelbarrow I think I've ever seen. But 2 first places by the big pole. Now, is he going to get it over? Yes, he does. That shows the power in his shoulders. He just swung that weight up there. Now around for the concrete block, and again that looks very simple. Only the log to go for Mariusz. I just wonder whether he's left his challenge a little bit too late in terms of going for this title once more. There are all the objects safely in the wheelbarrow. Now it's the 15-metre sprint towards the end. He's just about busting out all over in terms of his muscles, my goodness. The time is crucial now. 66.04 for Mariusz. And now all he's going to have to do is sit and wait and see what everybody else does. And I hope you all could see just how hard that was.
Well, it was even harder for Raymond Bergmanis, who clearly had expended too much energy shopping. He finished last, but the powerful Vereshchuk was still going strong. He couldn't afford to let Zavikas get further ahead.
And so it's our overall leader this time, Zydrunas Zavikas, leading in this final for the very first time.
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Yes, he says. So the time to beat, 66.04 by Mariusz. And next time you're walking down the street or you have a skip delivered to your house, just take a look at just how big these things are. They're not made of wood, they're made of solid iron. And if that wasn't bad enough, of course, they've got all these objects to throw in as well. Well, Mariusz just plonked that in, so does Zavikas. The chase is on now, not just for a fast time, but these guys really making their bid now to become the world's strongest man for 2004. One object to go. Now, these guys don't really like running around. They're not the most mobile of creatures, but they are incredibly powerful and strong. That goes without saying. And I think Zavikas is struggling just a little bit in terms of his endurance here. I was talking to Adrian Rollinson at Britain's Strongest Man once, and he started doing a bit of running and a bit of swimming to improve on his endurance. But he's chasing the clock now. 66.04 to beat. He's just outside it. That was so close. 66.93, and in fact he's down in third place behind Vasil Vereshchuk as well.
For me, this is just an honor thing. I had 3 bad events. I just want to show everybody that I still am one of the absolute strongest men on this earth. And with some luck, I can even get onto the podium.
I tell you what, it would be a remarkable performance if he did make it onto the podium. He was quite a few points behind everybody else at the halfway stage, but he is beginning to make a move now on the leaders.
Are you ready?
There's only about 0.9 of a second between the top three at the moment. Now, we're talking about mobility before. When we saw Zavikas, this guy is mobile. He can run. So it's all about the endurance factor, not the strength. We know he's got that. That goes in easily enough. He's worked on a farm in Sweden for many, many years. He's used to hard manual labor for long periods at a time. And I just wonder whether that will do him the world of good in this event. The designers of these events must have had a thought as to what sort of effect it would have on everybody when they put these, I can't call them games, they're real tests, when they put them together. But I think Magnus Samuelsson will thank them for that. He's well suited to this. And now he's chasing the clock, just as Zavikas did before him and everybody else. It is quick. It's very quick, in fact. I wonder if the Swede can get victory number 2. Yes, he can. 59.71. Everybody applauds Magnus Samuelsson. And he is making that move on the leaders. But by how much, we'll have to wait and see.
Samuelsson in a class of his own there, 7 seconds clear of the field. And Pudzianowski has given himself an outside chance by coming second, although it's very much an outside chance. It's Zavikas or Vereshchuk, you would think, for the title. And when you're writing the ideal scenario for deciding who would be the world's strongest man, it would all come down to the last event and the Atlas Stones. And that's exactly what it does.
Atlas Stones.
Bergmanis first out. Well, Raymond is going on his own because of the withdrawal of Sven Karlsson. And in recent years, the Latvian has finished in 3rd place, in 4th place, and I fear now he's destined to finish in 5th place, but he wants to try and finish with a flourish. He's certainly capable of lifting all 5 stones, no doubt about that at all. A massive 160 kilos, stone number 5 weighs. A little bit of trouble with that one. It's very difficult to get a grip on those stones. It's a very awkward shape, unless, of course, you've got great long arms. It does help to wrap them around the stone and get a grip on your knees and then roll it up, your thighs, onto your chest and then up on the platform. This is all about pride now for Raymond. He hasn't got a chance of winning the contest, so I hope the crowd will rise to him. He's putting on quite a show here and determined to get that 5th stone. There's great sportsmanship between all the competitors, especially at this stage in the competition when they've been through so much and we still don't know who the champion is going to be. It's that close. It's one of the most exciting contests we've seen in years, and that is the end of Bergmanis' challenge for this year's competition. He will finish down in 5th place. A classic confrontation now between Mariusz Pudzianowski in defence of his title and Magnus Samuelsson.
Defending champion Mariusz Pudzianowski really needs to win the stones, but he's going against the world record holder in Magnus Samuelsson.
Well, believe me when I say that Mariusz has got a chance of winning this title, but it all depends on his performance here. 5 stones required, and of course he's going against the clock as well. And if either of the last 2 competitors, Zavikas or Vereshchuk, finish in 4th place or worse, and Mariusz wins it, he might win that 3rd title. I'm surprised at Samuelsson. Normally Samuelsson is the king of the stones, but so far it's Mariusz who is the king. But will he be world's strongest man? That is the big question mark. Samuelsson, an agonizing 5th and final stone, but a superb time by Mariusz. 27.13, and he will have to wait and see if he can become the champion for a 3rd time.
So how are you feeling this morning?
I feel good.
Confident?
Yeah.
You've been second for the last 2 years, so how are you going to approach this?
I have to win.
And Basil, how did you sleep last night?
Normal.
Is that good or bad?
Just normal.
Any special tactics today?
I'm only competing with myself. If I do well, then I'll win it all.
Well, the very, very best of luck to both of you.
Can the title go Lithuania's way, or can it go to the Ukraine? You're about to find out.
Ready.
Last year, both Vereshchuk and Savickas finished on the podium. This year, it's down to the stones, and one of these guys will be crowned the world's strongest man.
Well, there is an outside chance, of course, that Mariusz could retain his title, but it really is a long shot. Vereshchuk off to the quickest start, being chased down by Savickas. But it's all about Vasil Vereshchuk. Whoever wins this event, between the two of them, providing they don't finish in fourth place or lower, is going to become the new world's strongest man. And Mariusz, I think, knows his title has gone. Vasil Vereshchuk is on the final stone and he's got it. We have a new world's strongest man, and the Ukraine have their very first world's strongest man. Superb.
So the title moves from Poland to the Ukraine, but for Lithuania, it's second place again. So close.
Yeah, 3 times second. It's too much. And this year I was very close to first place. And but I beat last year champion. It's not so bad.
Well, since the competition was filmed, it's been announced by the sport's governing body that Mariusz Pudzianowski failed a drugs test, and so as a result, Magnus Samuelsson moves up to third place and the Swede gets another podium finish. But that shouldn't detract from what was a magnificent performance by Vereshchuk. He is the world's strongest man, and he wants the world to know.
Well, if Vasil Vereshchuk is not the happiest man in the world at the moment, he certainly is the strongest. A superb performance by the Ukrainian, and he will lift the Metrex trophy and become world's strongest man for 2004. Let's not forget Savickas, second for the third time in a row, but sheer delight for this fella. A superb performer, a superb entertainer, and he is the world's strongest man.
So Vasil Vereshchuk is the strongest of the strong and adds his name to the list of great champions over the past 25 years. From all of us on World's Strongest Man here in the Bahamas, it's goodbye.